In 1990, a spacecraft called Voyager 1 was 3.7 billion miles from Earth, farther from home than any human-made object had ever been. And scientists made a decision that had nothing to do with science. They turned it around, and it took one photograph. In that photograph, against a backdrop of deep space, there is a tiny point of light, barely visible, a fraction of a pixel, pale blue, suspended in a ray of scattered sunlight like a mote of dust caught in a beam through a window. That is Earth. That is every human being who ever lived, every empire, every war, every act of love and cruelty and courage and cowardice, every king who ever thought himself important, every religion that ever claimed the cosmos cared, every person you have ever loved, every person who ever lived and died and was forgotten. A pale blue dot, Carl Sagan, looked at that photograph and said something that has haunted me ever since I first heard it. And I think it is the most important and the most chilling thing any scientist has ever said about what it means to be human. Let me read you part of what Sagan wrote when he saw that image, not the whole thing. Just enough. He wrote that Earth is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark, that our planet is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena, that the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot, our posturings, our imagined self-importance, are challenged by this point of pale light. He said, our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity and all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. No hint that help will come from elsewhere. Sit with that for a moment, because it is not a poetic observation. It is a scientific one, and it is, if you actually take it seriously, one of the most terrifying things a rational mind can contemplate. To understand why Sagan's view is so chilling, you have to actually try to comprehend the scale of what we're dealing with. And I mean really try, not just nod at the number and move on. The observable universe contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion. Our galaxy alone, the Milky Way, contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. Most of those stars, we now know, have planets. The number of Earth-like planets in the observable universe is estimated to be in the hundreds of billions, possibly higher. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. It will continue expanding for trillions of years, timescales so large they make human history look like a single frame of a film that runs for the entire age of the universe. Against that backdrop, that incomprehensible scale of space and time, consider what Earth is. A single planet orbiting an unremarkable star in the outer arm of one average galaxy among 2 trillion. We have been here as a species for approximately 300,000 years. Anatomically modern civilization, cities, writing, organized society has existed for maybe 6,000 years. Industrialized, technologically powerful civilization has existed for perhaps 200 years. In cosmic terms, we appeared a fraction of a second ago. We have no idea whether we will last another fraction of a second, and the universe does not care either way. That is what Sagan meant, not as a metaphor. As a fact, the laws of physics contain no clause that protects human civilization, no provision for the survival of consciousness or intelligence or beauty or love. The cosmos runs on equations that have no term for what matters to humans. We are, in the most rigorous scientific sense, cosmically irrelevant. And that is chilling, not because it is depressing, but because of what it implies about our situation. Now here is where Sagan's thinking reaches its coldest, most unsettling territory. If the universe is this vast, if there are hundreds of billions of potentially habitable planets spread across 13.8 billion years of cosmic history, then where is everybody? This is the Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who reportedly asked, over lunch, a question so simple it is devastating. Where are they? If intelligent life is even remotely probable, and the universe is this old and this large, there should have been civilizations arising billions of years before us. civilizations with billions of years of technological head start. Even traveling at a tiny fraction of the speed of light, a sufficiently advanced civilization could colonize the entire galaxy in a few million years, a blink in cosmic time. And yet, silence, no signals, no megastructures, no evidence of any other intelligence in the universe, despite decades of dedicated searching. The universe is enormous. It is ancient. It is apparently full of the right ingredients for life, and it appears, as far as we can tell, to be completely empty of anyone else. Sagan thought carefully about why, and the answer he kept returning to was the most uncomfortable one available. Maybe the silence isn't because intelligent life is rare. Maybe it is because intelligent life tends not to survive. Sagan called our current moment technological adolescence. And I think that phrase is one of the most precisely descriptive and terrifying framings of where we are as a species. Think about what adolescence actually is. It is the period when a child gains the physical power of an adult before acquiring the wisdom and judgment to use that power responsibly. An adolescent is strong enough to cause serious damage to themselves and others, but hasn't yet developed the emotional maturity, the long-term thinking, or the understanding of consequences that should accompany that strength. Now apply that to civilization. In roughly 200 years, we went from horse-drawn carriages to nuclear weapons, from candlelight to the ability to alter the global climate, from messages carried by hand to instant global communication that can radicalize millions of people in hours. We acquired, in an eye blink of historical time, powers that our Stone Age psychology, shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of small tribe, immediate threat survival, was never designed to manage. We have the technical capability to end human civilization multiple times over. We have nuclear arsenals that could do it in an afternoon. We are altering the atmospheric chemistry of our planet faster than ecosystems can adapt. We are developing artificial intelligence systems whose long-term behavior we cannot fully predict or control. We are, in Sagan's framing, children playing with explosives we built, but don't fully understand. And here is the chilling bridge to the Fermi paradox. If this is a predictable stage, if every technological civilization reaches a point where its destructive capability outpaces its wisdom, then perhaps this is the filter. Perhaps this is where civilizations end. Not with conquest by aliens, not with asteroid impacts, but with their own hands, their own weapons, their own short-sightedness applied to tools of planetary scale. Perhaps the universe is silent, not because we are alone, but because the ones who came before us didn't make it through. And this brings us to what I think is the coldest, most bracing thing Sagan ever said. 6 words that I think should be carved somewhere visible to every person in a position of power on this planet. No hint that help will come. Not help is unlikely. Not help is a long shot. No hint. None. 0. There is no cavalry. No benevolent extraterrestrial civilization monitoring our development and ready to intervene if we start sliding towards self-destruction. No divine backstop. No cosmic insurance policy. No version of history in which someone else solves this for us. Whatever happens to this civilization will be entirely the result of what this civilization does. Every choice, every policy, every war averted or started, every technology developed responsibly or recklessly, every moment of leadership that prioritized short-term power over long-term survival, all of it lands entirely on us. This is what Sagan meant when he said that our planet is all we have, and we must deal with each other. Not as a feel-good sentiment about human unity, as a cold statement of fact about our situation. We are alone on a fragile speck in an indifferent cosmos, in possession of weapons capable of ending our civilization, at a stage of development where our technical capabilities have dramatically outpaced our wisdom, and no one is coming to help. That is the actual situation, stated plainly. And yet, and this is where Sagan's thinking becomes something more than just terrifying, this is also what makes us profound, because if the universe is indifferent, then meaning is not given, it is made. And if we are alone, then consciousness, awareness, love, curiosity, beauty, The capacity to wonder about existence is not a cosmic given. It is an extraordinary local anomaly, a miracle of organization that the universe stumbled into, apparently at least once, possibly never again. Think about what it means for something to be aware in a universe that is otherwise, as far as we can tell, entirely unaware. The cosmos has been running its equations for 13.8 billion years in the dark, stars forming and dying, galaxies colliding, black holes consuming, all of it without a single witness, without anyone to notice or care or find it beautiful. And then, on one small planet around one ordinary star, a process unfolded that produced creatures capable of looking back at all of it and understanding what they were seeing. Creatures who looked at the night sky and, instead of just navigating by it, started asking what it was. Who looked at a falling apple and derived the laws governing the motion of planets. Who looked at a photograph of their own planet from 3.7 billion miles away and felt simultaneously vertigo and responsibility. Sagan believed that awareness itself, consciousness, curiosity, the capacity for science and wonder is among the most precious things the universe has accidentally produced, and that its loss would be, in some sense, the universe losing part of itself. The cosmos briefly awake, going dark again. Not just human survival, the survival of the only thing we know of in the entire observable universe that is capable of looking at the universe and comprehending it. I want to be precise about something, because Sagan's vision is often misread as nihilism, as a counsel of despair dressed up in beautiful language. It is not. Sagan was one of the most relentlessly hopeful scientists who ever lived. He devoted enormous energy to communicating science to the public precisely because he believed that scientific literacy, a widespread, genuine understanding of how the universe works and what our actual situation is, was the best defense against the technological adolescence that threatened us. He believed that if enough people actually understood the pale blue dot actually internalized the scale of the cosmos and the fragility of our position within it, it would be harder to start wars over lines on a map, harder to poison the atmosphere of the only biosphere we have, harder to treat the problems of other humans as someone else's problem when we're all on the same fraction of a pixel. He wasn't trying to depress us. He was trying to wake us up. The chilling part of Sagan's vision is not that we are insignificant. It is that we are significant enough to destroy ourselves, and apparently insignificant enough that no one will stop us or mourn us if we do. The hopeful part, the part Sagan kept returning to until the end of his life, is that we also appear to be the kind of creatures who can choose differently, who can look at the pale blue dot, feel the weight of it, and decide that the dot is worth protecting, not because the cosmos cares. It doesn't, but because we do. And that, in a universe of indifferent matter, is everything. Carl Sagan died in 1996. He was 62. He spent the last years of his life warning about climate change, nuclear proliferation, the erosion of scientific thinking, and the dangers of a society that had powerful technology but diminishing capacity for critical thought. He was right about all of it. He never got to see how the story ends. We still don't know how it ends. We are still in the adolescence he described, still holding the same explosives, still running the same short-term calculations in institutions designed for a world that no longer exists. But we are also still here, still asking the questions, still building the telescopes and doing the math and occasionally making the choices that suggest we might be capable of growing up. Sagan believed we could, not naively, not without evidence of how hard it would be, but genuinely on the basis of what he had seen human beings do when they were at their best. The pale blue dot is still out there, still fragile, still impossibly beautiful against the cosmic dark. What we do with it is entirely up to us. Leave a comment. Does Sagan's view make you feel despair or responsibility? Because I think your answer says something important about where we are right now. And subscribe, because this conversation is one of the most important ones we can be having.